Get into the world of celebrities and Bravo Lebs with What the Reality with me, Candiace Roberts. I discuss the mess of it all, from reality TV, Hey Housewives, to iconic pop culture moments in the making. We are talking about it all. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and a comment wherever you listen to your podcast. Welcome to the pod. You are listening to What the Reality with me, Candiace Roberts. Why do I hear an echo? Okay. You are listening to What the Reality with me, Candiace Roberts. Welcome to What's the Reality on What the Reality. Back with another episode. It is 10:10. I don't know. I just feel like that has some good juju somewhere. Like, it is 10:10 when you guys are listening to this. And if you can't tell, now you know by the title, we are talking about Miss Candiace Dillard-Bassett and Monique Samuels. I don't know if she's still going by Samuels. Because her and Chris aren't no longer together. I'm pretty sure she's still going by Samuels. But we are getting into their friendship fallout, and this has actually been requested on my TikTok. If you guys are not following me on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. You get a lot of my opinions, my nastiness, my shade and rumors on my TikTok, where I like debrief like certain stuff, certain topics that it's like, if people don't listen to my podcast, it's like a good way for them to, want to tune in. And yeah, my TikTok, I stir up a lot of conversation in the comments, and I love doing that. But I did this one video. I was talking about like friendship fallouts, like epic friendship fallouts. And I was talking about my infamous like Carol and Bethany. Like, people are still listening to that one. Like, go listen to that if you haven't. And I was talking about Phaedra and Candy. And then people in the comments were like Candiace and Monique. And I never, if Potomac wasn't currently on right now, I don't think this would have been my next topic. I just did the Ramona and Mario singer breakup. I don't think this would have been my next topic, but I have this laundry list in my notes tab of all topics like I just want to do on this podcast. And Candiace and Monique was one of them. And I just felt like it was fitting, given the fact that, Potomac is currently on. Potomac, they just had their season premiere for season 10. Both of the ladies are not on the show as of now. Monique will join later in the season, but I just felt like it was so fitting to do a breakdown of that friendship, because it was very short-lived, but it was also huge. This is going to be 2 parts. I try to always do 2 parts because it's a lot of information, and yeah, I like to do 2 parts. So the part 1, we're not even getting into the season 5 fight. We are getting to this hoedown showdown though at Katie Ross during season 4. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the friendship bases. We're going to talk about like their friendship dynamics within the group. We're going to talk about like what I genuinely think was causing issues in their friendship. And I do think it was people. I think they had outside influences. We're going to talk about season 3, and we're going to talk about the season 4 and season 4's reunion. We're not even getting into season 5, the epic fight, yet, because there's a lot of tension, a lot of social media stuff that built up to that. And I feel like that needed to be its own separate part. And then we're going to talk about like the fallout of the fight and like what happened after that, and essentially where the ladies stand with the group, which we all kind of know because they're both weren't on the show, but now Monique's back in. So I just thought it would be really fun to do this topic in the spirit of, fall, because I feel like Potomac's very fall vibes, and the spirit of Potomac's return. So let's get into it. So these 2 women, I really have loved both of them before I even say anything. Like, sometimes you can sense my bias on some of the sides I've been on. Like, clearly I was team Ramona Singer and her whole Mario and her stuff. And then honestly, I was team Carol and the whole Bethany versus Carol. And Candy and Phaedra is difficult. I mean, I try to report that evenly, but this one is really difficult for me to not even report on, but recap, because I've loved Monique and I've loved Candiace. I am a Candy girl. I think she is one of the most lethal mouths of housewives. I definitely think she's like a Potomac Mount Rushmore. I think she can spar words with Kenya Moore, Portia, like Nene, like she could keep up. So I love Candiace for that. And then honestly, like, Monique is just like gorgeous. Like I don't just like her for her looks, but like Monique had the girls shook when she joined. I don't like how Monique went out, which I will get into more with season 5 in part 2. I don't like how she did the whole Candiace thing. That's very clear. But yeah, this is difficult because I have been supporters of both of them at different phases. And it's just unfortunate because I do think a lot of outside influences affected their friendship. But I do want to start just in general of like Monique Samuels joining the cast in season 2, which I didn't realize. Like when you really go back and watch this stuff, like I didn't realize Monique joined in season 2. I thought she joined in like season 3, and I thought Candiace joined in like 4 or 5. Like I didn't realize because Potomac is still considered new, even though they're on their 10th season. It's crazy, but they're still one of like the newer franchises. Like it just seems like just yesterday they just started. So it is insane to me that she was a season 2 joiner. So I would say her main friend when she joins, her main connection to the show is obviously Charisse. And Charisse and her both are wags, or, you know, Charisse was a former wag, you know, wife slash girlfriend of a professional athlete. So I think that's how they really knew each other and bonded, because like the wag world is so small. And then as we know, like Monique Samuels was married to Chris Samuels, who used to be a former NFL player for someone. I cannot remember. I guess I did not write that down. And then obviously Charisse's connection. Charisse is actually the huge connector. She's kind of like the Jill Zarin of Roni. She was the huge connector on Potomac. She connected all of the ladies together. Like even Gizelle has given her nods to Charisse. She's like, none of this would be here without Charisse, because Charisse knew this group of affluent women. So of course she knew Monique through the WAG world. And like I said, like Charisse's ex was an NBA player. We remember how that played out. Like he like cheated on her. Like it was crazy. I think she had a huge settlement though. I don't know why she still looks like that. Like if I had that much money, I wouldn't look like that. But there's the shade. I can't. So her tensions when Monique joins, I do think the women are insanely threatened. She's gorgeous to look at. Like hazel eyes, like she's gorgeous and she has it all. She has several homes. She will not let you forget that, because Gizelle did try to play her like, oh, how many homes do you have? Like, you don't live in a home currently? And she's like, no, I have several. Never forget that, Reed. She clocked Gizelle immediately. But yeah, her most of her tensions within the group definitely stem with Gizelle and Robyn. And I do think because like Robyn does anything that Gizelle does. But you have to say within that comes some form of acceptance. I do compare it to like the Kyle Richards of the group. Gizelle, of course. Gizelle and Robyn. I like to say Robyn's like the Teddy Mellencamp, like just the follower. But a lot of the ladies that come in, they want to be accepted by Gizelle. They want to be accepted by Gizelle mostly, and they would like to be accepted by Karen, but they don't care fighting with Karen. You don't really want to fight with Gizelle. Gizelle is one of Andy's favorites. He loves Gizelle. Like, I just feel like you don't want to fight with Gizelle. It's kind of like you don't want to fight with Kyle Richards, because like you don't know if you're going to be on the next season. And I even relate that to when Dr. Wendy went through her stuff with Gizelle, like, and even where they are right now, like Wendy is so happy her and Gizelle are getting along. And I love Dr. Wendy, but you can just tell you would rather get along with Gizelle because she does have a lot of rankings within the group. So I think when Monique initially joined and she did not click with Gizelle like she was hoping to, it didn't really plan out to like how she thought it was, because her whole longevity on the show, she really does not get along with Gizelle. But you can tell she really does want to be a friend, because I do think Gizelle in that group is viewed as more so the big sister. You know, she isn't a sorority, but it's like she's like the big sister. You want to get along with her because that'll make you nice with Bravo execs. You will go far. And I talk about that with the whole Candiace of it all, because Candiace and Gizelle did not start off on the right foot, and obviously they didn't end on the right foot, but Gizelle and Candiace were really close. And I do think as I get more into this episode, I talk about how like I do think like Monique was most likely very jealous of that friendship, that budding friendship, because she was never accepted by Gizelle. Because she checked Gizelle the moment she had the chance when Gizelle tried to be like, you don't have a home? And she's like, I have several homes. Check that. As you should. But that's who she mostly bumps heads with when she joins the group. I was gonna say yes. So I said I described Monique as young, gorgeous, with several homes, and a man who recently retired from NFL. You look at the remaining cast. I even think Robyn was jealous of that because Robyn, she was going through all her financial woes with Juan because of all of their money being stolen or like gambled away or whatever. But yeah, Monique, looking from the outside, had it all. She really did. She really did, essentially. And like I said, I think Gizelle saw her as intimidating. And I think Gizelle kind of saw her as like this younger, she possibly was more connected. She knows Charisse. Like, she's trying to come in and like take my shine. When really, I think Monique just wanted to be accepted by her. I really do think that. I also say Monique and Ashley got along very well her first season because they were the youngest. Ashley was like 30 when she joined the group, or like 20. I think she was like 27, 28. Like, she was very young. Obviously, she was married to Michael Darby. Yes. So that is Monique's intro into the group. Like I said, mostly her tensions is with Gizelle. I'm not rehashing that because, oh my gosh, they give me a headache. I think she has some tensions with Karen her first season too, because she was Potomac. She lived in Potomac. She definitely threw shade at Karen because Karen did not live in Potomac. Karen lives in Virginia. Potomac is in Maryland. So I'm like, none of y'all even live in DC. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like, they talk about Virginia, but it's like, low-key, I'd rather live in Virginia. I've been to Virginia, to Maryland, and to DC. Virginia's nice. But she wasn't Potomac, and that's another thing like we see throughout the seasons. Like, they're like, Karen doesn't even live in Potomac, like, yada, yada, yada. Whatever. But I'm like, does Robyn ever live in Potomac? Like, I don't know. Potomac's very expensive, but like when you look at the states wise, like I feel like you would rather live in Virginia than Maryland because like I just think Virginia has so much more. But I don't know. Potomac, Maryland got Silver Springs, you got Potomac. So, they both compete head to head. And then DC is like the most expensive of them all. It's a nice hub. It's a nice, very location. Like, I would so move there if you didn't need to make $100K just to survive as a single person. But I digress. So we're moving on now to Candiace Dillard, who joined season 3. Like I said, I can't believe she just joined a season after. And Candiace also is joining very young. Candiace is 30 years old when she joins. And this is 2018 now. We're talking about season 3, 2018, when it premiered, April 2018. And I would say Monique is one of the first ladies that interact with Candiace and meet her. And Candiace's connection through the group is through Ashley Darby, which is so funny because we know they're crazy. We know their toxic relationship now. Like, they will just fight. It'll always be, you can guarantee, oh my gosh, this burp. You can guarantee it at a dinner party. Ashley and Candiace are going to have some words. Like, you can just guarantee it. But initially, they're fine. So Ashley brings Candiace in as another pageant girl. She knows Candiace from the pageant world, and Ashley introduces Candiace to a group of women that are not on the cast besides Monique. And it's like young women at this brunch. And we have this foreshadowing moment. Like, Candiace, like I said, is getting really on with Monique. I think because Candiace went to Howard, and then I think Monique was saying like her brother or sister like graduated from Howard. There was some connection. They got along really well. And Monique iconically says, okay, this is what she says. I literally quoted her. She's like, I really do love this Candiace girl, but when she talking, she does all of this and she might hit you and you might have to hit her back. And then she like laughs. And I will never forget her doing all of that, saying that. We know what eventually happened. So it looks like she did have to hit her back. But it's just funny how it's like when she first meets her, that is what she says. Like, Candiace do be doing all of this. She be having the hands all in the face, and yeah, so it foreshadowed their relationship greatly because we know what ends up happening. Candiace's first season, I would say it's ironic because her main tension within the group is with Charisse, who of course brought Monique in. So they have a lot of tension because Monique tries to little, sis Candiace, little girl her, in the words of Mary M. Crosby. Is it Cosby or Crosby? I always get that confused. But let's do a little background on our Miss Candiace Dillard girl like we did on Monique. So she's 30, like I said, when she joins the show. Candiace comes from the pageant role. That's where her and Ashley actually met. The gag is Candiace actually won Miss United States of America 2013, which is different than Miss USA, which Kenya Moore won in 1999. I believe it was 1999. Or was it earlier? I think it was 99. So, and you already see Ashley throwing shade. Like, she's like, because Ashley won Miss DC in like I think she said 2009 or something. So she just knew her from the passion role or whatever, or like maybe it was like 2013 as well. But Miss DC was on the traction for Miss USA. Miss United States of America is more so international. So it's like you're competing with like other countries or like I think it would be other countries. But it's not the same trajectory as you would get to Miss USA. So we already see Ashley throwing shade of like, she was a part of the international misses. Like, it was an off-brand, essentially. Like, it's not the main thing, which was shady, but we expect nothing less from Ashley. Okay, so back to Candiace's feud with Charisse. So Charisse, like I said, her major feuds with that season is with Charisse. She also gets into it with Gizelle and them because she's trying... She gets into it with them, but it's not that deep. Her main thing this season is with Charisse, and I think that's why Monique found herself in a weird position because Monique's like, you know what, I'm actually really liking this Candiace girl, but her and my other good friend Charisse are not getting along. Also very interested in their friendship fallout because they had a huge friendship fallout as well. But Candiace is very upfront her season about her mom and her mom's relationship, which a lot of the women end up throwing in her face throughout the seasons as she's on here. And basically, I say generational wealth. I've never seen a bunch of older women this jealous of a younger woman and her generational wealth. So they're always bringing up the fact that her mom like pays for her house that her and her fiance live in. And so what really sparks Candiace up, and we kind of see her like, she's not this little girl. Like, she can keep up with the big dogs, essentially, with the elderly. I'm not calling them elderly, but I think that's what she called them in the words of Candiace, the older women. It's when, so first Gizelle questions her ring or like her home or something she questioned. And then Candiace is like recounting this at the spa. They end up being at the spa. And she's with Charisse, Ashley, Monique. And essentially, Charisse was like, well, did your mom pay for your engagement ring? And then she was like, no. And so then this is where things get messy. So Candiace meets up with Ashley and Monique after that incident. Even though she thought it was shady, she didn't say anything. And so Ashley and Monique really, they're trying to take Candiace underneath the ring. Like, like we're the youngest in the group. We need to stick together. So they're really trying to coach her. Like, that was shady. Like, and Monique's like, if that was me, because they were at the spa, they were doing something in the chairs with like the boots on your legs and it's like massages you. I don't know what that helps reduce. I don't know if it's like for cellulite or something. But none of those girls have cellulite. So I don't know. It's like some sort of therapy. She said, I would have taken off my boots and I would have gotten in Charisse's face and I would have been like all up in her face and like doing all of this. And essentially telling Candiace, like, you need to be ready for the next time you see these girls. Like, they're going to try to come for you and you need to be ready. So Candiace, like, just took in the information Monique and Ashley were telling her. They were like, you need to stand up for yourself, stand your ground. That's what you need to do. So the next time she sees them and she's telling the story to the ladies, or like how they went to the spa and stuff, and then Charisse was like, yeah, and I had like asked, like, did Candiace's mom purchase her engagement ring? Literally, Candiace is like, yeah, that was a shady bitch moment. That's what she says, quote unquote, a shady bitch comment, actually. I think she said it was a shady bitch comment. Because Gizelle then like questions it again too. Like they're just trying to haze. Like it's just giving like, I tell y'all that I'm afforded this lifestyle because of my mom, and now you're trying to throw it in my face when, you know, like me and my mom have like a very like sensitive relationship. And I don't know if she opened up her first season about her and her mom's sensitive relationship, but you could tell as a viewer, like her mom kind of uses it as checkmate against her. Like, oh, I'm paying for this, so this needs to happen. Like her mom wanted her to put on a certain wedding dress. Like you could just tell the dynamic already. It was giving toxic. So that happened. They're essentially on the way to Nemacolin. This is a group trip that Ashley has organized, and they are on the Sprinter van, and Charisse gets offended by that. It was a shady bitch moment. I don't know if it was a moment or comment that was said. I think it was shady bitch moment comment that offended her. I think that's what Candiace had called it. And she literally starts like little girling Candiace. She's like, you need to watch your mouth, like, you know, little girl, all this stuff. And then Candiace, that's when we see her like really keep up with the top dogs, the big dogs, because she calls her a geriatric granny after the girl little girls her. And I have a link to Candiace's blog I want to read from, and she is basically describing like what happened. So it's like, it was a Bravo TV. Like, don't you guys miss when the housewives used to like blog all their feelings? So BravoTV.com says, tell us about getting emotional in the shop. So Candiace said, wow, my emotions. So this is when they are talking about the wedding planning. So I don't want to talk about that. This is what the quote said. It was quote unquote shady bitch moment. That's what was said. Bravo TV said, did you expect saying shady bitch moment would turn into such a blow up with the ladies? Did Hurricane Candiace come out? Tell us about that car ride. So she said, I had every intention of sitting back and enjoying my trip to Nemacolin. Ashley did a fabulous job of stocking our shade wagon with libations, and I just wanted to enjoy my champagne. Monique loves to tell a good story, and no good story is complete without my entertaining and shady commentary, child. She said the bottom line is anyone with a pulse in decent fashion sense, read everyone, but Gizelle knows that what Charisse said at cryotherapy was shady as hell. A moment in history that cannot be categorized as a moment of the shady bitch variety. True tea, facts, joggers, whatever you want to call it. It ain't no lie. If I'm being honest, what you all saw was closer to Tropical Storm Candiace than Hurricane Candiace. I was laughing at her attempts to be in her feelings and clawed some semblance of relevance. In short, girl, bye. Keep trying though. Your number will come up. The highlight of the whole soiree was Drunk Monique, one of my favorite versions of Mo, trying to hold Charisse back. Girl, where were you trying to go? Don't cross this side of the bus unless you're prepared. This little girl is always ready. And so it got really heated on that Sprinter, and then they eventually end up, you know, I'm trying to see. They eventually end up like getting off the Sprinter and like rehab, like getting out of that situation. Like they diffuse the situation, but you kind of see Monique already being put in a difficult situation at this point, in my opinion. So I said, I've also put in my notes, I'm rewatching Candiace's debut season, and Candiace has always been ready to gather the girls. And then I said Monique does end up playing both sides, which is something that Candiace also points out. Like it is giving very much like, here, I can open up my curtains a little more. I'm trying not to have like the sun block. Please hold. Like the sun setting, but like we don't want it to, like, that should be good. The sun's setting at this point. Oh, It's difficult with the blackout curtains. Like, I love them, but it is a little difficult. Okay. So I'll have just some sun right there. Um, so I said Monique does end up playing both sides because Monique also believed, and she told Candiace this. She at the meetup with Ashley, at the meetup with Ashley after Charisse had said what she said about her engagement ring. She was essentially like, maybe she doesn't like the fact that her closest friend is getting close to another girl, referencing Candiace, and then obviously like Charisse being her close friend. Like, so she was saying, she was kind of like stirring the pot, like playing both sides, like, because she agreed that what she said about the engagement ring was wrong. And she told Candiace that, but she didn't tell Charisse that. And then she's telling Candiace to essentially prep yourself, get ready to read this girl, essentially, because what she said was wrong. And that's what Candiace does. She goes right in. And so Monique, I said, was kind of playing both sides. She just was. So the lady spat. It doesn't last long. They end up being like fine, her and Charisse, but we kind of see that first like tension of kind of like playing sides. And then we also get this lunch. Oh, why is it frozen? Bro, that be annoying me. Okay. I had just lost Wi-Fi for a second. We also get the aftermath of that, and that's when Ashley brings to the group. So, like, Monique was like, I think Candiace can come off the wrong way, you know, sometimes, because a lot of times she is a lot in your face. She can be doing a lot of extraness, and we don't want her to be perceived that way. And she's trying to explain this to the group. She's like Candiace has a good heart, but like sometimes it is like this. And Candiace is sitting right next to her. So I kind of thought she was like throwing her under the bus. I'm like, okay, not like you didn't just tell her to get hyped up. And Ashley throws Monique under the bus, and she was like, well, Monique, I think Candiace is doing exactly what we told her to do, especially because you said that you thought Charisse had a problem with her because you and her were getting close. And then Monique is kind of like a deer in headlights. I think also because she is drinking, like she's a deer in headlights. Like, it was a mess. Like, she was trying to act like she didn't know what was talking about. She said, no, I never said that. So Monique has this history of kind of like backtracking and trying to like cover up what she says. I already noticed. And it's like, you did say that. And it's like, you got literally Candiace hair, and I feel like you was trying to throw her under the bus. Keep in mind, this is after Monique's accident. Monique had one too many martinis and essentially crashed her car. The martinis apparently had nothing to do with the crash. She says she fell asleep at the wheel. Ashley made it about the martinis, and this happens after they get through this happens at the end of the Nemo colon. So they basically leave the trip. Candiace and Monique are closer than ever because Candiace saw exactly what Ashley was trying to do. Like, she's trying to insinuate, like, hey, like, were you drunk driving? Because that's what was going around then. She was like, well, you had 4 martinis last time I saw you, then you got behind your wheel. And she's like, I did not have 4 martinis. So Ashley was already starting with that. So we're already kind of seeing Ashley has like no allegiance to anyone, but like we all knew that. Like, Ashley is the biggest industry plant, the biggest production plant, like the biggest producer's pet. Like, that's who Ashley is. So during those moments, we see Monique and Candiace very form a friendship. And I say that before I get into season 4 because it's important to know where they left off at on season 3. Like, did I think Monique kind of threw her under the bus because she was trying to get cool with Gizelle and them? Yes, because it's kind of like, why are you throwing me under the bus when it's like, you're the one that told me to get hyped up? And it's like, you're low-key throwing you're not only yourself under the bus, but you also just like low-key read your friend, like thinking your friend Charisse is jealous of our budding friendship. And even Robyn points this out. She's like, did you not think they would be in the same room when all this information came up? She points this out in her confessional because it does come off very messy and shady. Like, you're trying to throw Candiace under the bus with all the ladies saying, like, you know, she does a lot sometimes, but like, you know, she's a good person, and like, we don't want to have the wrong idea of her, when it's like, you're the one that told her to start getting hyped, start protecting herself, because these girls will try you. So it's like she took your advice and now you're trying to throw her under the bus for taking your advice, which is just interesting. It was very interesting because I kind of like, if you play the clip, like there's a certain clip at that dinner, like it just is literally giving like, oh, I'm trying to be in with the cool girls. Like that's literally what it gave. Like you're trying to mother now Candiace all of a sudden when y'all the same age. I mean, her actually the same age. So whatever. I kind of think Monique uses Candiace that first season as her scapegoat to try to get in with the girls and kind of be like, well, you know how Candiace is. Like, we just got to protect her and we just got to do this, all of this stuff, whatever, whatever. Now I want to move on to season 4. So I set that up. Season 3, they're really good friends. Season 4, they start off as closer than ever. You know, this is Candiace's second season. Candiace, though, I will say, like this season, she's not really in great with the group. Like, I really feel like she isolated herself this season because of the stuff that was going on with her mom. So then she ends up like lashing out in her friendships. She ends up lashing out with Chris. Like, we've seen that horrific scene where like she basically needs to be talked to like a kid. And I just think Candiace is a mess. Also, Monique is pregnant during this season. She did have the miscarriage from season 3, which is why it was so touchy for Ashley to be insinuating during that time that, you know, she had the martinis and then crashed her car, because she had just experienced a miscarriage. So this pregnancy during season 4 is such a special one for her because it's considered her rainbow baby, which is like when you get pregnant to full term after a miscarriage, you know, or, you know, stillbirth, and it's like you actually successfully have a baby the next time. So it's like her rainbow baby. So Monique, not even drinking this season, she really tries to take on the peaceful, I said like Yolanda Hadid route, like, you know, like just very, you know, I'm gonna try to make sure everyone is good this season. And she is really trying to look out for her friend Candiace, but like I said, they like to little sis, little girl Candiace a lot, and I think Candiace lashed out at her friends, and I think she took a lot of their critique sometimes as like, why are you trying to essentially like, you know, embarrass me in front of these women, or like, we kind of just see the tensions rise within that. So I want to get into Monique and Candiace. They seem, like I said, they seem to be on good terms and just fine for season 4. However, the ladies do end up crashing over this little, well, it's not little, over conflicting opinions about Katie Rose on the NOLA trip. So the ladies did go to New Orleans. This trip was organized by Gizelle because, you know, Gizelle is Creole. So, and I think it was her dad's like 80th birthday. So she wanted to go to New Orleans, really learn about her culture, all of this stuff. And Katie is back in the mix, who is season 1er. And was she even on season 2? I'm not even sure if she was on season 2. But no, I think she was briefly. But season 3, she was on. She's been on sporadically. Season 4, though, we really see her because she was on this trip. So Monique refers to Katie, and she don't even refer to her. Her and Candiace were debriefing when they first get to the trip. And Monique was like, when she first met Katie, she was like glamorous, like runway, all of this stuff. And she says she's really has taken on this like free spirit role. And she quote unquote said, she gives me like Amistad, give us free spirit. And then she also like called her Ashley on steroids. And Candiace, Amistad obviously is about a slave. Candiace took that as essentially you're calling her a slave. And I don't even think Candiace took it as that. I think Gizelle took it as that, and Candiace did not walk it back. She did not disagree, and that's where Candiace acknowledges throughout the season, where she probably, or at least at the reunion, which we're going to talk about, that's where she acknowledges that she probably screwed up, because it's like she probably should have cleared that up. Because she did not think Monique meant that, but the way it was ran back and eventually told throughout the group was very nasty. So this is the comment that really sets their friendship for failure throughout the rest. Like, this is kind of like the break in the friendship, which is honestly shocking. Like, it shouldn't be. It was a miscommunication, but they unfortunately they cannot move past it. So Candiace said in her confessional that she believed that this comment was inappropriate. She did not say this to Monique, though. And that's what I wish about Candiace, is like she said more things that she said in her confessional to the ladies' faces. She is a confessional gangster. I mean, that's when she does her best work. But she did not say this to Monique. And I don't know if she was just like, whatever. So Candiace ends up disclosing this conversation to Gizelle once they get back from New Orleans, like the ladies argue. She ends up disclosing this conversation to Gizelle. And Gizelle was like, I do not like that. Is she calling Katie a slave? And keep in mind, Katie on this trip, we know Katie Ross. She has her hair wrapped up. Oftentimes it's in a scarf. Her fashions are off. She just looked very out of it. But we do pray for Katie currently and now, and still, as you should, because I don't know if health-wise she's all there. I'm not a doctor, but like we just know Katie can be a little wackadoo. So yeah, so Gizelle took the Amistad comment as her referring to Katie as a slave. And this is where Candiace screws up, is because she could have cleared that up and said, no, I don't think she was calling her a slave. I think she was saying like, just very like, it just doesn't help because Katie was wearing like the scarf and it's like, Amistad, like, all this stuff. But that's all like historical stuff, like essentially when I say it. But I'm just like, it didn't, like, I think Candiace definitely could have cleared it up for sure. And then, of course, this information gets back to Monique that Candiace essentially did not clear her name to Gizelle. And it's like, we also know that Gizelle and Monique have a checkered history at this point. Like, they do not get along that well, like, at all. So it's the fact that Candiace is sitting down with, out of all people, Gizelle, and being messy. Of course, Gizelle would take that back in the most negative light because her and Monique do not get along. So this gets back to Monique from Ashley. And this is another thing this season. I guess Monique and Ashley are fine again after Ashley ran this whole smear campaign after her miscarriage about the whole martini drinking and driving stuff. And I think that's another reason why Candiace and Monique are probably off, is because they're both friends with each other's ops. So Candiace is very much in with Candiace, and she's very much in, Candiace is very much in with Gizelle and Robyn. And keep in mind, Robyn and Monique almost had a whole altercation with the umbrella stuff. So she's very much in with them too. And then you have Monique, who's very much in with Ashley, and Ashley and Candiace don't really get along this season too. They've been arguing, they've been sparring a lot. So we have these two girls who are supposed to be loyal to each other being loyal to other outside influences. And that's why I said this friendship breakup is one of the most sad ones, because y'all really let outside influences get in between y'all's friendship. And, it just sometimes it doesn't work when you're like friends with people who clearly don't like your friend. You know what I mean? So, of course, Ashley tells Monique essentially that like, hey, basically Gizelle thinks you called Katie a slave. That's what Candiace told Gizelle. And Monique is upset because she's like, I definitely need to clear it up because I talked to Candiace about that. We were not saying it like that at all. So we get Candiace and Monique's first sit down of the season, and this is stemming from the Amistad comment. Candiace fails to fess up to twisting the word with like Amistad to slavery, and she also agrees that she shouldn't have told Gizelle because Gizelle does not like Monique. So the thing is about Candiace is like she can admit that she admitted like it was definitely wrong for her to tell Gizelle that, because she just knows Gizelle probably doesn't have the best intentions when it comes to Monique. And Monique then says that Candiace is picking her apart like her mom. So at this point, we know throughout the season that Candiace has opened up about her mom's dynamic and how they have a very toxic relationship. I'm trying to let the sun set, but like, of course, it's like getting in my face now. Again, I'm trying to take advantage of this natural light, but gosh, the sun is like just setting on me. Okay. Anyway, so this Arya sore spot. So now Monique's kind of throwing that sore spot into, her face, like saying, you're literally picking me apart like your mom does to you. And it's like, now what's going to set her off. And then this is where all the little girl comments come from. So they're just not doing a good job at this first sit down and like them doing that. So Monique brings up her mother, which, like I said, is a sore subject for Candiace, is a very sore subject. Because she just has issues with her mom. And then she also compares Candiace to Ashley this season, which Candiace also didn't like, because she's saying Monique is she's saying that Candiace is going at Ashley the same way Ashley was going at her last season, because it becomes another thing this season. There's a lot of things that were just things. This is actually a really good season. Candiace claims that Ashley is not trying to get pregnant because she's been drinking beforehand. But I also read on Reddit that Chris has said in an interview that Ashley and Candiace were supposed to be very close that season, or beforehand. And Ashley had told Candiace, please hold me accountable for my drinking because I'm really trying to get pregnant. And that's where the infamous, are you trying to have a corona or are you trying to have a baby, comes from. I cannot with Candiace's reads. So apparently Ashley had deemed her as the friend to be calling her out about her drinking because she was trying to really get pregnant, her and Michael. So yeah, Monique thinks that Candiace is lacking accountability throughout the season, and she's starting to use her mommy issues as kind of a shield to go against the ladies, and that's why she's probably having so many issues with Ashley, and so many issues with her in the group. She's saying you're kind of starting to see Monique judge Candiace, and Candiace is starting to peep game because she doesn't like the fact that she's using the fact that her mom's issues is being brought up at all, which I totally get. Okay, so after that, Candiace basically, so now we have this other incident that happens this season. They hash it out at the dinner. They're Monique's you just know I wasn't saying like that. And then, like I said, Candiace agrees, but she doesn't really speak on the fact that she's equating to her mom. She said, I'm not like my mom or whatever. But you could tell that rubbed Candiace the wrong way. Now we have the infamous dinner scene where Candiace threw out Ashley out of her house, and because Ashley brings up oh, I'm sitting in the house that your mom paid for. And Monique sides with Ashley during this infamous argument. You guys remember when she throws the butter knife at Ashley, kicks her out, Ashley walks back in, and then she goes back out. It's a whole thing. This is also following this is a good season. I was fast forwarding through a lot just to get a lot of the minutia, the stuff between Candiace and Monique. And of course, with all of that, I'm telling you, Ashley is in the middle of something, or Gizelle. They really let Ashley and Gizelle get in between their friendship. But this is a really good season. Potomac season, what is this? This is season 4, is a really good season because we also get the whole Michael Darby sexual assault stuff. It's not good, but it's he grabbed the cameraman's butt or whatever. So we're also dealing with that. So Ashley also, I feel is deflecting a lot of her stuff and trying to gas people up because she's also dealing with that in her relationship. And that's why her and Candiace also are not getting along. So we also have that going on. In addition to, Candiace's mommy issues, it's just a lot happening this season. It's just hard to keep up. So, Candiace, tossed Ashley out of her home, and then literally was throwing butter knives. And Monique actually sides with Ashley during this. She did not like Candiace's behavior. I don't know. And she tells Candiace this. She's you always feel we're attacking you when we're just we think you're taking out your mommy issues on us. She does bring that up. I don't think she explicitly says she's on Ashley's side. I think she tells Ashley she kind of is, and she kind of shows that through her allegiance. And like I said, she's just getting super close to Ashley. And it's the group also finds it very hard to believe that you and Ashley are this close when you are at each other's necks last season after Ashley ran this whole smear campaign about you drinking and driving. So Candiace also cannot wrap her head around that. But I also think Candiace had the support of Gizelle and them through some moments. I mean, she did, but then the ladies were also disappointed in her. She had the approval of Karen and stuff. It's they tried to, she was isolating herself, but also Gizelle and Robyn didn't hate her. So Monique was very much threatened by that. And I think she was trying to use Ashley to get back into good graces with Gizelle and Robyn. I'm sorry, I really do. And I think she was willing to throw her friendship out with Candiace and kind of like not be there for her because she was like, okay, if I get cool again with Ashley, then I can make nice with Gizelle and them because I don't have these super close relationships with them. And unfortunately, I don't think Candiace had a super close relationship with them, but they definitely called her like their sister. Like they were definitely more nurturing to her. And Candiace felt like Monique was doing a lot of big sistering all the time to her and like judging her. And she didn't want to feel judged, especially by someone that has showed quote unquote hood tendencies or hood behavior. I live daily for Candiace's shade. So we're also seeing tensions rise in that case. Okay, I literally just lost where I was. Okay, so Monique and Ashley, I said they're getting super close, and I said tensions are seeming to rise because Candiace is in cool with Gizelle. Yes, that's what I talked about. And yes, so Monique, another reason Monique is on Ashley's side during all of this is because the reason Ashley gets tossed out of the dinner is because of the whole mother comments, but also they're bringing back up, like, you think I'm not trying to have a baby because, I'm drinking and stuff. And Monique felt like it was wrong for her to be mommy shaming, especially because Candiace is not a mom. And it's like, why are you trying to mommy shame? And why are you trying to tell someone like the holistic view of getting pregnant? And she's like, I was drinking before I got pregnant. And it's like, why are you trying to tell someone they can't drink if they're trying to get pregnant? Like that's not how it works or whatever. But yeah, so there's a couple of things I think like Monique's like peeping. And then like I said, I can't deny Candiace this season is very bitchy. Like she knows she got a lot of emotional trauma and unhealed wounds from her mama, and she is taking it out on the group. But it doesn't mean it don't make amazing television, because it most certainly did. Now we are getting into Katie Ross hold down showdown, the quote unquote drag me Monique. This is the first of the mention, drag me Monique. Okay, so Candiace and Monique, they have an argument essentially because of Ashley. Like, I cannot talk about their friendship fallout without talking about Ashley and Gizelle. I just literally cannot. Candiace feels like Monique is jumping on the bandwagon of defending Ashley after this whole Ashley and Michael sexual assault stuff comes out. So I misspoke. It did not come out at Candiace's dinner. It was not out yet. But now it is out at the showdown. And the ladies, Candiace and Monique had a conversation. And Monique was basically like, karma comes back to get you. Essentially, that's what she's saying. Even though she's getting cool with Ashley, she did say that on the phone when they're discussing it. So all of the ladies have talked about it. Okay, I cannot, guys, I'm having a brain fart. It was definitely mentioned at the dinner party. I'm sorry. It was definitely mentioned there because I remember now Gizelle was like, I'm going to bring it up. So essentially Candiace feels like Monique is jumping on the bandwagon of defending Ashley after the whole Ashley and Michael and him grabbing the cameraman assault. Candiace calls the ladies hypocrites, which Monique takes issue with. So Monique and Candiace literally start fighting because Candiace and Ashley are fighting currently at the table because essentially Ashley does not accept her apology with the whole questioning of the mother thing. And then she was like, well, are you guys really trying? Because Michael over here, grabbing butts and stuff. And were you guys like, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's the sexual assault thing. So the thing I'm talking about at the dinner that was mentioned was Michael's comment about I would suck his D. And I think he was talking about Juan Dixon. That's what Gizelle brings up. So I mixed up the two. Michael Darby had a lot going on this season. That's a whole other thing. So there's two things currently going on. And that is another reason why Candiace is also in the back of her head. Like, are y'all trying to have a kid if all of this stuff is going out? So now we're at the hold down showdown and this stuff about the cameraman and Michael, the whole lawsuit is happening that he grabbed a cameraman or whatever. And she basically was saying, like, we were all talking about it because Ashley's like, I know, like, Candiace, why would you be talking about it? All of this stuff. And she was like, we're all talking about it. You guys are all hypocrites. We've all been talking about it. And essentially Monique did not like when she called her a hypocrite. And they kind of get into a screaming, like yelling at each other. But you can tell Monique tries to like let it pass. She's like, okay, whatever. So that's that. They get up from the table. Candiace has a big blowout with Ashley. She's like in her face. She's doing a lot. The ladies are upset. They try to isolate her. Karen goes to console her, and she's like, she just doesn't appreciate her friends' tough love or like judging. Monique overhears this and goes up to her, and she basically is like, Monique says no one's attacking you and we're not hypocrites or whatever. And Candiace can't even really accept it because she just thinks it's weird that her and Ashley are like best friends now. And she says that to her following like season 3. But Monique also claims that she's been defending Candiace. She's like, I'm not just defending Ashley, I've been defending you. And then she says, like, she's been defending Candiace to the whole group. Then Candiace tells Monique to just like walk away or whatever because they're really going at it. And Karen's in the middle of it now. And she's like, okay, guys, like, please, because Monique calls her a little girl. She's like, you're like acting like a little girl. Like, you have your mommy issues, all this stuff. Keeps bringing that up to her face. And after that, we get the infamous, like, Monique says to Candiace, I will still drag you pregnant and all. And Candiace responds, drag me, Monique. And she like flicks her ponytail. She's like, drag me, Monique, drag me. And Monique walks off, but Monique got that in her. Like, when Monique get mad, she do get mad. Like, you can tell she got it in her. Because she was trying to drag her pregnant and all. It escalated super fast. Monique goes back over there and tries to apologize to Candiace and saying she also was going to throw the water bottle at her. It just escalated, and it all escalated because of literally Ashley, which is like, I'm like, literally, you guys, what? Because of Ashley? Like, it makes no sense to me. And then also Karen and Ashley get into it. I need to do a What's the Reality on Ashley Darby and all of the arguments she started, the infamous arguments. That's why producers love her, because she will start a fight. She will start an argument or something. So after the hoedown showdown, they do eventually end up texting. They agree it was like a sister fight. You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like fighting with your sister. Like, they feel like it was a sister argument, and they agreed to like move past it. Monique even invites her to her ultrasound, her 3D ultrasound. Candiace shows up, and this is like a day later, and they're able to hug it out. But there's another instance throughout season 4 where Ashley is basically like, they all said you all were laughing at me and this stuff, and Monique shows text messages between her and Candiace proving that she was not laughing at her and it was only Candiace. And it's like, you're throwing your friend under the bus again after y'all made up. So by season 4 reunion, which we are now on, they are not on good terms because there's just been so much going on. And the ladies basically rehash all the drama. So apparently Monique, and now we're on the season 4 reunion, Monique has blocked Candiace on social media because a fan asked Monique, have you heard from Candiace since the Amistad episode aired? A lot of the fans were on Monique's side with saying Candiace twisted that and was being messy. It was, in the words of Candiace, a shady bitch moment. And basically, you remember the Instagram Q&As. Are people still doing that? I don't really go on Instagram like at all. I couldn't tell you a thing. So she was like, no, I haven't heard back from her. You all know Candiace be ready to fight on social media. They call her a Twitter G. She screenshotted that answer and she was like, best victim ever. Monique blocks her out. Oh my gosh. It's like a huge bang. Monique blocks her on social media because she did not receive an apology for the Amistad. And then, Candiace was over here calling her the best victim ever, all of this stuff. Andy and the Real Housewives of Potomac ladies agree, though, that is very odd that Candiace or that Monique is cool with Ashley, and they all agree that Candiace and Monique's issues stem from Ashley and how everyone just thinks it's wild that Monique and Ashley are like best friends now. In Monique's defense, she's like, I have to get over season 3 stuff. Like, why are we still bringing it up? Like, she apologized, yada, yada, yada. So Candiace again agrees at the reunion, though, that she should not have brought up, she should have cleared up the Amistad thing when it came up, because it's just such a sensitive topic. Even Katie thought that Monique was calling her a slave, and she was like, I know, like, you think I look like a slave because I wear my hair in a wrap, all of this stuff. And Monique had to, like, apologize to her. It became this whole thing, and it's just very, like, culture sensitive, and it's just like, it shouldn't have been what it should been if Candiace would just squash it. She's like, no, she's not calling you slave. So she should have just said that. Candiace has said that now 3-4 times. I don't know how many times she got to say that. She said, I should have shut it down. Okay. But Monique cannot move past that, because she brought it up on social media, which is when the only time I agree with Robyn Dixon. Robyn Dixon's like, why are you even addressing this on social media if you guys have already hashed it out? And she's like, because I didn't hear from her. But it's like, if she already apologized to you, now you're seeing the show air, and now you're like, commenting on it, when it's like, she's already apologized to you. You guys are already moved past it. So it's like, you are adding fuel to the fire. I actually understood what, Robyn was saying a lot. Now, the other issue that is brought up is that Monique's claiming to defend Ashley with the whole Michael Darby touching the cameraman stuff. But really, she was giggling with Candiace on the phone. She said the karma comment, and then, why are you showing our text messages? This is what there's so many girls. This is what Candiace had an issue with. Like, why are you showing our text messages? You think that one text message proves that you weren't giggling about it with me? And Monique's basically like, I never was laughing at her. Basically trying to walk it back. But we heard the karma comment. And you really think you haven't been talking about it with Candiace? Like, we all knew everyone was talking about it. But she wanted to show her allegiance to Ashley so bad. It's just so weird. So I just think it's a jerk move to show anyone's text messages to someone to prove, oh, I'm not talking about you, but my friend is. Like, it's just like, you just threw yourself under the bus. Because what have you been saying before that? You showed me one part of the text message. Monique seems to be really up Ashley's butt at the reunion and, like, trying to defend her, and, like, I'm telling you, it's all because of Gizelle. Because Ashley and Gizelle are fine. Ashley and Gizelle have always been fine. Like, they go back and forth, but they've always been fine. Like, she's like she's her producer's pet. Gizelle is a huge producer. So that's what their issues are. They don't really talk about the hoedown showdown. I mean, they do. Of course, like, they both apologize. Like, it should never escalated to that. But by the end of season 4, 3-part reunion, because they don't get anywhere in the first part. By the 3rd part, they talk about their rose and thorn, and they both agree their thorn of this season was the dissolution of their friendship. So they both agree that they want their friendship to be on track, especially before season 5. So they do hug it out. Monique's like, we need to just have a conversation off camera, alone, and it seems as though it's very genuine, and they both want to move in the right direction. They both are crying. Candiace throws her a tissue, and they just know that it's like a sisterly love. It's a sisterly bond. I don't know. It is giving sisterly bond, though. I can't even lie. But that's really your part 1 of what's the reality on Candiace and Monique. If you ask me, the dissolution of the relationship mainly came at the fault of Gizelle and Ashley. A lot of people meddling in their relationship and them picking sides. I do also think Candiace not being in a good place with her mom, that season 4, she really did let that spill over into her other relationships, because we even see her and, Chris. We kind of see them go through it, and this is their first year of marriage or whatever. Like, you can just see the dissolution of a lot of Candiace's relationships because of what's going on with her mom. And I think Monique's biggest fault to me is, like, her just willingness and naturalness, blindness to just really support Ashley no matter what, given what's happened. It's like, yes, you forgive, don't forget, but she really did have a way of just forgiving Ashley, and it kind of seemed like she was trying to really I'm telling you, she was using Ashley as a stepping stone to get to Gizelle and Robyn. She wanted to be in cool with them. And I think there was some animosity there that Candiace was cool with them. I really do. That's really my take on it. In the part 2, we're going to really talk about the fight. We're going to talk a lot about season 5. I'm going to dissect that. I'm actually going to try to watch fully season 5 instead of like fast forwarding. I'm going to try to watch it before my next part 2, which will not be next week, but the following week. Like I said, October's longer. So for sure, it'll be probably like 10/24. I think that was the Friday, I'm going to try to watch season 5 because there's a lot of loaded stuff. And this ends up being Monique's final season as well. And yeah, and then I want to talk about like what's happened after the show with them, where they stand today, and, Monique's epic return to Potomac. But that's really like where we kind of see the dissolution of their friendship. And it's unfortunate because I do think it is at the hands of the other women. They did let a lot of the other women get in between their friendship. And it's really sad. I mean, it was a very short-lived friendship, so I don't know how sad it is. But they let the other women get in between their friendship. And that is why Candiace and Monique are no longer friends. So stay tuned for part 2. Thank you so much for listening to What's the Reality on What the Reality. Until the next time, bye. Period. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, What the Reality, with me, Cashay Roberts. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and a comment wherever you listen to your podcast. Let me know what I should be doing. Let me know how I'm doing. All compliments are welcome. Until the next time.